Hey everybody. I have read your practicum logs number 2 and have read your final portfolio projects. Your practicum logs are fabulous. You guys are getting ready to graduate, so I would expect that they would be fabulous. The only thing I want to caution you is to make sure that you have gone through your time logs thoroughly. There are a few of you that are still looking like you're missing some hours. Again, I want to remind you that the Typhon change may have eaten some of your hours, so do not go into week 8 and not have an accurate representation of your completed hours. If you do have gaps and there are errors, contact Mrs. Faith Sterling and touch base with her, and she'll walk you through the steps and help you find the hours that you're missing. So make sure that is a priority and you take care of that. You will get an incomplete for the course if you do not have your required 200 hours, and they have to be recorded properly into Typhon. So I appreciate your attention to that detail. I think that's about it for your practicum logs. Your portfolios were fabulous. I know that whenever you have a progressive assignment where you do part 1, part 2, part 3, sometimes you feel like it's death by 1,000 cuts, and it can be a little exhausting. My hope is that with every iteration of this project that you went back to part 1 and polished and made improvements, slightly tweaked. I see that on my end. I see the effort that you've made to go through each of these steps purposefully so that your final product or your portfolio is a professional, polished, seamless tool that really represents you in a very personal and very meaningful way. It is always so much fun for me to look at final portfolios because I get a real good sense of who you guys are as individuals, as Christians, and then also as Christian nurses or nurse educators. If I had a job for each of you, I'd hire you all. Your portfolios were really well done. Super excited of how many of you all braved the technology water and did videos. So many great insights, warm welcomings, giving your viewer, which is me at the moment, a real sense of who you are. Shout out to Carol and Melinda, who got brave and did an Adobe Spark video. It's always super exciting to see somebody else try technology that you're using. Those of you that embedded your videos and got them to roll and run properly, kudos. I know this took some time, guys. My hope is that when you sit back and you flip through your portfolio, or you let a loved one look at your portfolio, or your colleague, that you have a real sense of pride, not just because you survived the portfolio project, but that you reflect over your body of work and who you are as a professional, and that you have a real sense of accomplishment. I'm so pleased with your efforts. Okay, so enough about that. Let's move on to next week. You have got part 3 of your integrative literature review done. Want to help you kind of gather your thoughts. Step 7 and 8 are due next week. Step 7 is you answering your PICO question. So if you were working forward to find out, is simulation education better than a didactic lecture? You're going to answer that question in part 3. You're going to say, according to my literature, this is simulation is a better teaching strategy than traditional didactic, and here's the evidence that says so. You're going to go through your scholarly articles, and you're going to synthesize them in a way that answers your PICO question. You should have real clarity when you answer, when you go through step 7, of that I have used the literature I found to answer the specific question that I sought to answer. That's the bubble for step 7. Step 8 is, okay, I've answered my PICO question in step 7, but did I do it as well as I should have? Are there validity issues? Maybe you narrowed your search to just nursing, and now that you've answered your PICO question, you realize that maybe the question crosses over into another area of healthcare, that maybe if you'd gathered that data, your answer would be more robust or more relevant. Maybe you narrowed your dates to 5 years, and you didn't feel like you found enough, and maybe you wanted to go back to 20 years and look at seminal stuff. whatever it is, you've got to address validity. You've got to talk about the weakness in your process, the reason maybe your findings aren't as accurate as they could be. Make sure you spend some time in your research book reviewing key terms so that you're answering the questions that are being asked of you. The other part of 8 is once you've dealt with the validity and you've dealt with detail of your process, you're going to be able, your last step in that is going to be telling your reader, who at the moment is me, why any of this matters. So if you found that simulation was a better teaching strategy, why would I care? How is it relevant? You need to tie it in to your students, to student outcomes, to some sort of measurable metric. Why does your reader care? This is what we call the so what factor. And the so what factor is what gets you published. The so what factor is what gets people's attention when you hang a poster in a research symposium. The so what factor is what gives you the grit to pick up a new research topic. So you found through your research this fact. Well, how can you use that fact to build on in another way to answer another question? So the components of step 8 are making sure you deal with the validity and your process and the veracity of your process, but also answering the so what factor. Why does anybody care? Step 9 is the piece of that question that's going to be answered through your digital poster. So it is so important that you start at the beginning of this paper and you read from the beginning all the way to your final analysis and your final outcome, and explaining to your audience why all of this work of your research matters. Because you're going to take the content of this and you're going to finesse it into bullet points and readable material that you're going to put on a digital poster. I don't want you to get too tangled up in the process for the digital poster at the moment. I want you to focus on writing a really good paper, because if your paper is a hot mess, your poster will be a hot mess. So finalize this, clean it up, make sure it's tight so that when you submit it, you can put it to bed and use the content confidently to build a poster. A few of you have asked about what to do with your integrative literature matrix. I don't need to see your matrix again. Unless I have specifically said you need to resubmit your matrix. If you have not gotten that feedback from me, then you do not need to worry about submitting it again. What I needed from your matrix was you to build a paper and to fill out your reference list. And if you've done those successfully, you're good to go. I think, let me look at my notes. I think that is everything. I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. I'm trying to get you feedback early in the week because I know that so much is hinging on the next steps. So I hope this is valuable timing for you. Clearly, as you can see behind me, Gracie over my right shoulder, or right or left, the little one's Gracie. The big one's Madeline, who's rolling around. They don't know it yet, but it's time for their yummies and for their walk. So I'm going to let you guys go. Know that I'm here for you guys. Know that I'm praying for you. I know that you are in week 7, and that means you only have 2 weeks left of getting through this course. I hope that this course has been meaningful for you. I hope that you feel like you're being well prepared. Know that if you have questions or concerns, I'm here. I'm happy to address them and walk you through any concerns you may have. Have a great week, folks. Take care.